The disastrous defeat at Stalingrad in 1942, followed by the immense crushing at Kursk in 1943, foreshadowed beyond the question the eventual destruction of the German Reich. Hitler, however, refused to believe that the pure Aryan race could be defeated and therefore absolutely refused to allow or plan any such idea of a post-war resistance. This timeline will look at how Reinhard Heydrich made the impossible decision in disobeying the Führer's orders and began to preparations for a post-World War II guerrilla resistance movement, and how slowly this movement would make the Allies aware that the fascist Reich was still burning strong and was once again the greatest threat to humanity. SS officer Reinhard Heydrich originally formed the basis and ideology of the SS Werewolves. Realizing Hitler would never surrender until the bitter end, he then knew that there should be at least a basic continued resistance against the Allies after the war. However, Heydrich was killed in 1942, therefore Himmler started acting in 1943. Cues and studies were intensely taken from anti-Nazi guerrillas in Germany's occupied lands. Workers from concentration camps were put to good use creating networks of tunnels throughout Germany and Austria. Stockpiling of weapons, explosives, food and water were undertaken. Specific men from the SS were brought back from the front lines so they could be trained as partisan guerrillas. On the night of the 2nd to the 3rd of May, General Hasso von Manteuffel, commander of the 3 Panzer Army, along with General Kurt von Tippelkirch, commander of the 21 Army, surrendered to the U.S. Army. Dietrich von Saucken's 2 Army that had been fighting northeast of Berlin in the Vistula Delta surrendered to the Soviets on the 9th of May. On the morning of the 7th of May, the perimeter of the 12 Army's bridgehead began to collapse. German youngest General Walter Wenck crossed the Elbe under small arms fire that afternoon and surrendered to the American 9th Army. U.S. 9th Army Patch.SVG under command of Lieutenant General William Hood Simpson. The Werewolves youngsters struck immediately the next day after Germany surrendered. Their attack was symbolic as well as terrorizing. Their first attack was against the occupied Reichstag. Assaulting the Soviet soldiers outside and within the buildings. Reaching the top, they threw off the red Soviet banner and replaced it with the swastika before retreating, having successfully killed 45 Soviet troops as well as symbolically retaking the Reichstag. They then moved throughout the destroyed city, employing hit-and-run tactics as well as freeing prisoners of war and women who were about to be raped. Moving throughout the ruined city, hitting Soviet troops everywhere they met them. After extreme damage had been inflicted, the Werewolves disappeared into the tunnels and had successfully won what the Russians later called the Second Battle of Berlin. The 25th of March 1945, Dr. Franz Oppenhoff, the newly appointed Major of Aachen, was assassinated outside his home by an SS unit which was composed of Werwolf trainees from Hulkrath Castle. They were flown in at the order of Heinrich Himmler. The Allies and especially the USSR were shocked to find that there were still German soldiers active in fighting. However, they didn't treat this as an insurgency, rather they looked upon it as merely surviving die-hard Nazi troops who wanted to go down fighting. Troop strength was increased and the Soviets, for handing reprisals, killed every 10 Germans for 1 Russian soldier killed. Slowly men, women and even children soon began smuggling themselves underground to participate in the insurgency, increasing the numbers and capabilities of the Werewolves. On March 6 they attacked American troops patrolling a sector in western Germany, killing 25 soldiers. On March 16 they hit a British supply truck, killing 5 soldiers. On March 20 they ambushed a Soviet convoy heading to Berlin, killing 33 men and injuring dozens more. These successful attacks now put in the minds of the Allies that they were dealing with a full-scale insurgency led by professional soldiers, not rebellious civilians.